welcome to Weeby Kids Yoga. Today's session is going to be based upon Danny's story, The Cracked Pot. Now you can find this in our storytelling area and it will be linked at the end of this session. As always, please ensure for today's session that you have plenty of space, that you are dressed wearing clothes you feel comfortable to move around in, and that you always practice with kindness to yourself. What we do today and what we do tomorrow in terms of movements in our body can vary quite dramatically. So yoga should never ever hurt. It's always that balance point between knowing that you are moving and doing your body good and definitely not moving into something uncomfortable. Know that you can stop this at any time and take a drink. If you would like to collect a mat or a blanket now, please do so and I'll see you on the mat. We begin our yoga today, as we always do, in a comfortable seated position, hands in Anjali Mudra by the heart. We begin with a greeting, Namaste, sitting up nice and straight and tall. After 3, it's a greeting from my heart to your hearts all around the world and from your hearts all the way back to mine. 1, 2, 3, Namaste. Our story begins with that of an old lady. We know that this old lady lived in a wooden hut, sitting in a nice comfortable kneeling position, placing our hands in Anjali Mudra. We're just going to raise those hands and then raise them back over our head to make our wonderful wooden hut. Now, we also know where this wooden hut was. It was at the top of a very big hill. So placing your hands down, we're just going to step back and into a downward dog position. This is an upside down V shape and is perfect for our hill. Now this woman would walk up and down this hill daily, walking the heels of your downward facing dog. And she would take it all the way down to the stream where she would collect water and take it back up to her home. And the way back up the hill always felt much more difficult, lifting one leg and extending it back, making our hill seem so much taller and further and more difficult to climb. And on the other side, coming back down, bring yourself back down to kneeling position, bottom to heel, and then stretching the arms at the front. Then coming back up to a seated position. Now then, we know that this woman did this day after day. Coming to the top of your mat in a low squat, heels down or up on the toes, whatever feels most comfortable. Hands in Anjali Mudra, prayer position at the front. Every day the old lady would greet the sun, reaching up, hello sunshine. And every day she would pick up her very long water carrying pole, stepping back, turning the back foot out slightly, and picking up our long wooden pole. Imagine you're being pulled out in front and pulled out behind, nice and strong. Turning out your feet so they are both facing the same direction. Our lady would then lower herself down and need to adjust in order for her to be able to connect her 2 water carrier pots. So coming up halfway, placing your hand down in front of you, reaching up, connecting our pots on one side, coming back down, reaching up with the other side, connecting our pots and coming back down. Taking your arms back out to your ankles, lowering the head down. Coming back up with our water pots. The lady, turning the foot out the other direction, would then be ready to go on her way. Coming back up to standing position, hands in Anjali prayer position. And this would go on day after day after day. Let's try it again on the other side. "Hello, sunshine," says the lady. And then she steps back with the other leg, back foot turned out, front facing forwards, and she would collect her long wooden rod, turning both feet forwards, legs nice and wide, leaning down. She needs to connect her pots every single day, coming halfway up, hand down, raising up, twisting to connect one of our water carrier pots, and the other side, connecting the second water pot, coming down, head to ground, hands to ankles, and lifting up our water pole. Now, one of her pots was perfect, but the other had a crack at the base. Turning out, foot at the front, turning the back one in slightly, and stepping up to standing position, hands by the heart. And so, on the next day, the old lady rose to the sun. "Hello, sunshine." And she would take herself off and down her hill, into downward dog, and she would walk all the way down to the stream, lifting one leg, swinging it forwards in between your hands, placing down your back knee, and then the foot flat. Make sure, if you can, that you have a nice knee-ankle alignment. Placing both hands on the inside of your foot. Our Lady would, at the water's edge, take a moment just to listen to nature, taking your outside arm out and over, stretching down the side of the body as you listen to the burbling sounds. Bring the hand back round, taking the other arm, swinging it forward this time, and up and round. Taking it back down. And here the lady would take a moment as she laid her pots into the stream for the water to flow over them. 1, 2. Leaning your head down to the ground. She would go and collect her pole, hands out to each ankle, raising yourself halfway, placing your hands in the middle, and the lady would connect water carrier 1, and then she would collect her second pot and connect that too. Head back down to the floor, hands to the ankles, arms nice and wide, and she would lift her water carrying pole. And with this, turning the opposite foot forwards, she would make her way back up, rolling the arms round, swinging the foot back, up the hill, and it felt a much longer way to go. And once she was there, the lady would enter into her house. Hands in Anjali Mudra, lifting them, moving them back over your head. And as we know, this went on day after day after day. Let's do it once more for the other side. Standing ourselves up. Hello, sunshine. Down we go. We've collected our pots and we're about to make our way down the hill. Walking our way down the hill we go. We've made our way to the stream, lifting the leg, swinging it between the hands at the front, laying the back knee down flat, bringing your hands on the inside of your foot, and on the outside, swing it round and out and over the top. Take a moment to listen to that burbling stream, swinging back round, lifting out to the forward and up as you twist on the inside, listening to those beautiful sounds. Coming back down. The lady placed her pots in the water every day. 1, 2. Placing your hands to your ankles. And as the streams filled her pots, she would collect her wooden pole, raising part way, placing the hands in front, and she would collect her pot from the water and connect it onto her water carrier. And this went on for days and days and weeks, hands to ankles, and years where the lady would collect her pole and would carry it up, turning the foot out at the front, where she would come back down to your lunge, foot back to downward dog, where she would walk back up the hill until she reached her home. Hands in Anjali Mudra, lifting up and above. And so life went on. But then one day, after many years, the pot with a crack in its base was filled with fear and doubts. All this time, the old lady had been carrying 2 pots, one which was perfectly formed and itself with a cracked base. He knew that by the time the old lady got back up to her home, that he was only half full. So let's make ourselves into some pots. Feet a little bit wider than hip width distance, turning the feet out, squatting ourselves down, elbows onto our knees, hands together, pushing there. Make sure your back's nice and straight. Wonderful. Now then, lifting out those hands, keeping the knees nice and wide. Spread your fingers nice and wide, like so. Keep your thumbs touching and your little fingers, but reach the other fingers apart. And now, elbows wide, we're going to lift the head of our pot up to the top. And here we are. Perfect, wonderful, water-carrying pots. Now, our pot was having some doubts. He was very concerned. And so, this day, when they went down to the stream, he took it from his heart to say something to the lady. Coming down, cross-legged, hands in Anjali Mudra. And he said to the lady, "Dear lady, all these years you have been carrying me up and down this hill, and I know that I only return half full. And I feel so bad about it. I am so, so sorry. Please forgive me." Putting her hands on her knees, and the lady looked at the pot and shook her head, turning your head left to right, left and right. And she said to the pot, "Well, now then, I have known all along that you have a crack in your base. And because of this, every springtime, I plant seeds. And you water those seeds every time I go up and down the hill, daily." "Oh," said the pot, not quite comprehending. So the lady continued, "Have a look up the hill, taking your head, looking up at the ceiling, and then bringing your chin down to your chest. Looking up at the ceiling and chin down to chest. One more time, head to ceiling, chin to chest. Have you seen the beautiful flowers on the way down the hill?" said the woman, as she pointed up the hill. Twisting yourself across your arm to your opposite knee, other hand behind, and look as though you're looking for those flowers on the hillside. Coming back round, same again, the opposite side. Crossing your hands, opposite knee, looking behind. Where are those beautiful flowers? Oh my, there they are. They are beautiful. "Yes," said the pot, "I have seen those beautiful flowers." And the lady said, their beauty is allowed because of you. Oh, said the pot. Those flowers give great joy, said the lady. We're going to be flowers. Moving your feet into butterfly, soles of your feet together. Placing your hands palms up, moving the arms back, you are going to slide your hands underneath your calf muscles. Pull those feet back a little bit, up to balancing. Open the feet wide, keeping the hands at the side. Imagine you now being pulled up through your spine, out through the top of your head, to be a beautiful flower. Now the lady said, those flowers, I collect them every day. I put them in vases in my house. They bring me happiness and joy, and I have the joy of giving. I can pass those flowers to friends and family in the village. Coming down, crossing those legs. Oh, said the pot, and slowly he began to understand. Bring ourselves now down for relaxation. If you would like, you can collect a blanket and you can make yourselves comfortable. Just for a couple of minutes. And now that we're lying comfortably, take a moment just to feel your body on the mat. Make any last wriggles or adjustments. Close your eyes or soften your gaze if that's more comfortable. And just take a moment to take a deep breath in and sigh it out. And again. And once more. And then let your breathing return to its ordinary rate. Today we have looked at a story of two pots and a lady. One pot which is perfectly formed and another which has a crack at its base. The pot with the crack at its base is filled with doubt. It is only able to bring half the water back up the hill. But it is the cleverness and insight of the old lady, where she does not see just a pot for carrying water back home, but a pot with a very different purpose. A pot that can enable beauty, enable life, and enable much joy and happiness. So where the pot saw itself as flawed and not fit for purpose, the lady saw something quite different. Many of us may think that we are a bit like the pot, that perhaps we aren't good enough, and perhaps we may compare ourselves to other pots who we perceive or think are perfect. But in actual fact, sometimes it is those things that we think are the things that let us down that are in fact our strengths. Perhaps where we think we aren't good enough, or as clever as, or as pretty as, or whatever it is in your case. In fact, we should embrace the idea that each and every one of us is perfect. You are perfect. You are perfect because perhaps your purpose, your destiny, you are here precisely to be different to each other part. Perhaps you are here to bring beauty, joy, and happiness into the lives of many others. And perhaps, as with our pot, you will do it for many years without even realizing. Remember, you are perfect. Take a moment now, taking another breath in, as we begin to wake the body once more, wriggling those fingers and toes, stretching those arms if that feels good, drawing your knees up and into your chest, and just rock gently. And slowly bring yourself back up to a seated position. I hope that you have enjoyed today's session and learnt something from our two pots. The way in which we compare ourselves to others often has a negative effect on ourselves. Each and every one of us is perfect in our own way. You may not yet know what that means for you, but one day I am sure you will. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye from Weepy Kids.